It's looks good looks good on my side. That sounds fine when I do it in the settings. I know. Shoot.
Stuff that you don't have to worry about. Not this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Today on Hey Gulligan, smooth skin and soft hair comes from where? Here's Mike.
Hey, confidence. I've tried every conditioner, lotion, and body wash known to man, and my skin still feels like sandpaper.
It could be in your water, Mike.
No.
Turn this more like a water, baby.
Are you animals? Smart, high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan Water. Want baby smooth skin and soft, luxurious hair? We're already on the way, Mike.
Local Culligan dealership or water conditioning. Any better?
No.
We'll have to go through the phone today because for some
The phone in the office. I'll do this. Hold on. Alright, say the number one more time. 785. Okay. Yeah. Turn off the. You want to turn off the radio to my headphones? I think we're good now, Ross. I'm pretty sure we're good. That's a good sign. I think that's a good sign for what's to come here on the Morning Blitz. Yeah, so my first ever weekend winner, and it pains me that this is my first ever weekend winner. I have to go with K-State football with an impressive win against Colorado on Saturday. It was a close game, and I think everyone knew it was going to be a close game. But going into a hostile environment in Boulder, and being able to pull out a win against Buffaloes, when they were 4-1, K-State 4-1, so much talent on that Colorado team as well. And there was times, especially when they didn't convert that fourth down. Up by 3, kind of a questionable decision at the time. When they could have kicked a field goal and then still to come out with a win was very impressive for K-State. And they're my first weekend winners, the K-State Wildcats football team. Yeah, and I think you hit it on the nail, but Avery Johnson battled through an injury in that game, and also there seemed to be an injury on every other play for K-State's secondary, for everyone. That Travis Hunter was out for a bit. So I think K-State as a whole team, battling through all of the injuries that they dealt with in that game, and kind of everything kind of not going their way for them as well. It was a game that I'm watching like Shedeur Sanders and this offense is just gonna, have that huge drive at the end of the game, win against a ranked opponent and put themselves possibly in the top 25. And K-State, credit to their defense, credit to Avery Johnson, pulling out at the end. Yeah, it was a huge win, especially like you mentioned after the loss against BYU. They did beat Oklahoma State. They blew out Oklahoma State, I believe a week ago. But yeah, that was just a big time win for K-State. And even if you want to discredit how good Colorado is, they have so much talent on offense that it's hard to discredit that win for K-State. So yeah, credit to Avery Johnson again battling through another injury and coming out on top. I do. Actually, my roommate in college was big in trap shooting in high school, so I do know his record. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that's completely fair with everything you mentioned, but, specifically with football game, yeah, I don't think anyone, especially myself, was really expecting that outcome. I thought because, Kobe lost last week, in the same blowout fashion, literally a 1 point difference between those 2 games. I thought this offense was gonna come out motivated. Even, after that first drive or the beginning of that first drive, they're moving down the field, Kobe's offenses, and they stalled the red zone, which they've been doing, too much in the last few weeks. But yeah, that was not something I expected. I don't think Coach Ryan Mosier was expecting that. But I mean, just the offensive Goodland was by far the best I've seen through 6 weeks. Everything was working. I mean, you're talking about Chayton Goodwin, the running back, looked as fast as I've seen any player run in high school football on that 70-yard touchdown. Of course, Lincoln Cure had 3 impressive touchdowns. And yeah, it just seemed everything was going Goodland's way. And Colby just can't get out of their own way right now and are in a big time slump. But I think Goodland is definitely a very fair pick for this week's winner. Another winner. I'm gonna go to the NFL, and I have my. It's gonna kind of relate to my loser, but the Detroit Lions. I mean, into Dallas and absolutely just decimating the Cowboys, which I think most of America enjoyed, besides Cowboys fans. Yeah, that was just so impressive. I think if you're talking about the NFC and who you would expect to see in the Super Bowl, I don't know how you look anywhere else besides Detroit with how well they're playing right now, and their loss last year in the NFC Championship to the 49ers. They're such a complete football team right now, and their ability to just power through almost every defensive line and every defense they face with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Their commitment to the run game is also very impressive. And then at the end of the game, they're just having fun. They're having offensive linemen line up at receiver, doing whatever Dan Campbell wants. It's really impressive to watch. So that would be my second weekend winner. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best days of the year is the Army Navy game, and yeah, I mean, for that much magnitude to be held in that stadium for that game. I mean, never in my life has it been had that much meaning to it as far as actual football itself. So that I mean, I hope they both can get through Notre Dame, and that would be oh my god, I mean, what a fun football game that would be. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a couple other teams you could choose as a weekend loser, but I think the Cowboys are the easy answer, low hanging fruit after what they showed on the football field at home. They can't get out. They can't another team that can't get out of their own way. They've been struggling at home, which is something again in most of my life I haven't seen from the Dallas Cowboys struggling at home. And yeah, I mean, they got from the first quarter on. They were out of this football game. Dak Prescott. The only player I saw on the Cowboys that looked like they even wanted to be there was Turpin, the returner. He had a good game, but besides that, no one else had a good game with the Cowboys. It was a rough watch for Cowboys fans. As someone that doesn't like the Cowboys, I enjoyed every second of it. But yeah, it just the Dallas Cowboys. There's no way around it. Absolute 100% losers of the weekend. No. Yeah. And the other one played last night, and Daniel Jones. He's in the exact same boat. Yeah. It's true. I mean, definitely, he had 5 sacks in the game. So, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
For another week and had blood and they had got that back from the FMU. I'd be done after comments like that. But he again.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what I was going to say when you mentioned that. The first thing popped in my head. It's like he, fired himself. You see, culture. You're the one creating the culture. So if there's a culture change, Doug, unfortunately, you're the one that's probably going to be leaving. And if you want to come back to Kansas City, we appreciate that because you're a great offensive coordinator and offensive mind. But that's neither here or there. And also going back to Will Howard sliding at the end of the game. Speaking of Dak Prescott, that was very Dak Prescott-esque. I remember a couple years ago against the 49ers in the playoffs, he had the quarterback run where they could not get the spike off in the playoffs against the 49ers. One more shot at Dak Prescott before we take a break.
Choose from the newest iPhone 16, the Samsung Galaxy S24, or a new tablet on us. Get an extra $100 with your device traded, no matter the condition. Next Tech Wireless, home on the range. It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Yvonne with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Monday, October 14th. And on the overnight last night, December corn lower 3.5, 4.12 quarters, March down 3.5, 4.29.5, May down 3 3/4 at 4.38, and July corn down 3.5 at 4.43 3/4. November soybeans down 6 on the overnight at 9.99.5. January down 6 1/4 at 10.14 3/4. March down 6 at 10.29. May down 5 3/4 at 10.43.5. Chicago wheat December contract lower 3 cents on the overnight at 5.96. March down 3.5 at 6.18 1/4. May down 3 3/4 at 6.29 3/4. And July soft wheat down 3 cents at 6.36.5. Kansas City wheat December contract lower 4 3/4 at 5.99 3/4. March down 4 cents at 6.17 1/4. May down 4 cents at 6.27.5. And July down 4 cents at 6.35. On the stock market this morning, Dow down $66 at 43,077. The S&P up 13 at 5,873. The Nasdaq up 90 at 20,540. Gold lower at $8.60 at 2,667. Crude oil down $1.72 at 73.84. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hampton or John Stiles at 970-744-4444. Or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Pluto, Jared Law, or Heather Dosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at AndersonGrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advised statement will result in profitable trades.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game, outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we're born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
Hello, this is Dr. Mason Rains at Rains Chiropractic, Goodland's only full-time chiropractor, Monday through Friday. We are officially open, offering chiropractic exams, dry needling, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and much more. Visit my website today to schedule at rainschiropractic.com or call me at 785-890-8900. Again, that's 785-890-8900, and I'll see you soon.
Phones nowadays can do practically anything, including feed you.
And now they cannot.
Well, that is if you download the McDonald's app. Use the McDonald's app to get deals on the food you love, including McCafe, soft drinks, fries, and so much more. Plus, keep up to date on what's trending at McDonald's with the latest promotions, events, new products, and specials. You can even order and pay from the app. So download it today and score from your local McDonald's at Burlington, Colby, Goodland, and Lamar.
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
How about sports? You follow sports?
With Ross Volkmer.
Once again, we're continuing to roll along here on a Monday morning. It's been a crazy Monday morning. In fact, it's just pretty much been a Monday morning, if that's how you want to describe it, with technical issues all over the place. But I think after the old just reboot the computer tactic, we have figured it out here this morning. Ross Volkmer, Max Gershon here with you on this Monday. So glad you could join us here for the Morning Blitz. I know some people are chiming in on the comment section saying we've got technical difficulties. We know, but when there's only two men flying a ship, it's pretty hard to get the fires put out at times. But with that being said, we will not waste anybody else's time more as we transition on to our guest of the day. And we are pleased to welcome in our good friend from Chiefs Blitz, that'd be Nick Athen, who joins us now. Good morning, sir. How are we doing today?
Doing good. So I take it you and Max don't work for SpaceX. Is that correct?
No, not even close.
You know what? I would be so unqualified for that position. It wouldn't even matter. I'm not even on the scale. You know, like there's probably a scale of people. They're like, well, this guy's on the low end scale, but we could maybe take him because he's a great team player or something like that. I wouldn't even make the scale.
All right.
Wouldn't even make the scale. Nick Athen, our guest here from Chiefs Blitz. Boy, Nick, that was I don't know if I would call week 6 in the NFL real pretty. That was kind of an ugly one right there.
Yeah, that was, so disappointing. Last week was so great. We had some of the best Sunday games that I can remember in years, just back to back to back. And, Sunday, I guess it's the order of the Chiefs not playing, I guess. I don't know. But there were some lame games and some teams that won that shouldn't have won and some blowouts that we didn't quite expect, I think. I mean, I think you have to look at the Lions blowout of the Cowboys is far more entertaining, laughable, and enjoyable than probably anything else that we saw yesterday. The Bengals last night, should have lost to the Giants. The Giants left, I don't know how many points and opportunities on the table. The fumble near the end of the game that, two guys missed. So they were very fortunate to be 2-4 right now. And the Ravens, I mean, listen, if Lamar Jackson keeps throwing the rock like that and King Henry keeps running the ball like that, they'll win the division, and, but I'm not sure they still are going to beat the Chiefs. But, their schedule, they just ended the meat of their schedule going 4-0. So, the Texans, had a nice win yesterday as well. So playing the hapless Patriots, but just a lot of dud games.
You brought it up there, talking about the Ravens, Nick. I mean, that's As a Chiefs guy, how concerned are I know you began in the first game of the year. I get that totally, but I mean, watching them the last few weeks, how much has the concern gone up that they're going to be a tougher out than maybe you thought?
Well, here's the solace I take if you look at it that way. They only beat the Commanders by 7 points, and let's be honest, the Commanders left some points on the board and left some opportunities. And had they made those plays, I think that maybe it's a different outcome. And they played their best football game. I mean, so the Ravens keep playing the best, that they can play. And, they're not blowing teams out. So there's some solace there. And again, put Lamar Jackson in January football, and I don't think he can get the job done. I've seen it for 5 years now, 5 straight playoff appearances, and or 4 out of 5 playoff appearances, and what he's got 2 wins. Yeah, I don't see it. You can't all of a sudden be a great quarterback when it comes to postseason football if you've got a terrible track record.
And I think the thing is about the Ravens, matchup, especially against the Chiefs and what they do against every other team is the Chiefs don't let any team run the ball like the Ravens ran against the Commanders, and especially Derrick Henry. The Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo have had so much success in the postseason against the Titans, and then, of course, in the regular season against Derrick Henry. So my question for you, and it's kind of moving away from the Ravens back to the Chiefs, is there's a lot of talk about different receivers that the Chiefs could be looking for, especially in the bye week, because we know it's so important for Andy Reid and company to get someone some time to learn the playbook. Who are some guys? I know I have a short list of guys that I think realistically the Chiefs might try to get, but who are some guys in your list that you think the Chiefs are going to look at?
Well, the name I keep hearing, and I don't know if it's wishful thinking or the possibility is truly exists, is DeAndre Hopkins. I think makes the most sense. He's a plug and play guy. He's going to be having immediate impact. He's going to take some of those reps, that Rice was getting and that Hollywood Brown was supposed to get. He's got speed. He's got motivated. He's still got a high skill level. He's playing on one of the worst teams in Tennessee. They're not making the playoffs. He's getting paid a lot of money. The Chiefs have that extra 3rd round pick, and thank God, because Snead has looked terrible.
Yeah.
Jarius Snead has been pedestrian at best so far this season. So that was a big move by Brett Veach not to give him all that bag. I think the Browns situation seems to be a cluster mess. Cooper wants out. I've been told by some people close to his camp that he's looking to be dealt. Beyond that, I'm not really sure who is a good fit. Unless the Chiefs, they're not going to take a young guy who's not getting a lot of reps on another team, because they have to have somebody that they can put in the offense right away. So I'm angling toward a veteran. They have enough cap space. They're going to re-sign Trey Smith, so that'll give maybe a little bit more space. But at the end of the day, those to me are the only 2 guys that are worth it that can plug and play right now.
Nick Athen is our guest from Chiefs Blitz. He joins us here. Max, I think so. Get into the question. Sorry, not to jump in there. Go ahead. What do you got for him?
Well, the other name that I was kind of thinking about when I was looking through the receivers that the Chiefs could go with, and I know Andy has said a bunch of times they need to be able to either adapt quick or know the playbook already. Right. And Demarcus Robinson knows the playbook. I know I was never the biggest fan of him, but I'm thinking about Brett Veach and the moves he likes to make, and that just feels like such a Chiefs move to go out and get Demarcus Robinson. I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Well, listen, he kind of had a second career when he left Kansas City. He really kind of plateaued a little bit. Toward the end of his time in Kansas City, he made some big plays. He does know the offense. Will the Rams part with him? Probably, but I just don't think that's the impact they need. I mean, they did that with McCole Hardman last year, and they kind of got mixed results. Setting the Super Bowl aside, with a couple of big catches and obviously the game winner. He's not getting a lot of impact this year, and I'm not sure that Robinson will push the needle enough. But he is familiar. The Chiefs do like to bring their players back, so I would say if it's the trade deadline. And, Sky Moore still hasn't progressed. Juju Smith-Schuster is a game on, game off kind of player. And obviously Worthy is not evolving enough for the offense to be more productive in the passing game, then maybe you take a run at Robinson, you give him a 7th round pick and, 2025, 2026 pick, and you bring him back home and see what he's got.
We're visiting with Nick Athen of Chiefs Blitz. Are the Detroit Lions the best team in the NFC, and it's not even close?
Well, they lost Aiden Hutchinson last night, so I don't care what they say defensively. That is a huge piece. I mean, the Cowboys' offense was hapless, so the loss really wasn't impacted enough. They were so far behind. I think they're the best offense in the National Football League right now. I love their coach. I love their attitude. I love the fact that they just kept pounding the Cowboys into submission. That's what championship teams are supposed to do. That's what I'd like to see the Chiefs do. The Chiefs are a little still kind of like, what's the word? They're just not as aggressive as we want them to be, but we know that they have talent, but they don't have the offensive talent. They don't have the offensive talent that the Lions do. And that makes a big impact. Their offensive line is top shelf, top quarterback play, really great, good to great wide receivers, a tremendous running game. They have it all, but if it's a fourth quarter game and Aiden Hutchinson's not there, especially in December, January, and February football, he had surgery immediately last night, within hours of the accident or the injury. So that's a big loss. I mean, they're talking about maybe going after Max Crosby with the Raiders. Of course, I would have a heart attack because I want Max Crosby a Chief so bad. He's the one player I think would make such a huge impact for this team. But I think they're so good. But you know what? They've had some lulls. They're not, they're going to have some tough games coming up. They've got a really brutal schedule this year, unlike last year. So they're the best offense in the NFL right now. Start, from beginning of the roster to the end of the roster, in my opinion.
Okay, who looked worse at the podium post game? Nick Sirianni holding his kid, or Coach Doug Peterson sitting there and saying, "We need a culture change," and he's the head coach.
Boy, it's both bad looks. I mean, Peterson. Listen, I know Doug Peterson. I've interviewed him. I've talked to him plenty of times about offense, and I thought the job he did in Philadelphia was terrific. The problem is he just doesn't have an elite quarterback, and that's the problem. Trevor Lawrence is not an elite quarterback.
He threw balls yesterday that hit his wide receivers in the chest, in the hands, in the face mask. They never caught them. I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence is elite, but good Lord, man, if you're going to get hit with the ball in the face, you got to catch it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. A lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks have receivers that drops. I mean, it's just a lack of focus. It's a lack of attention to detail. It's concentration. I mean, they're going nowhere this season. They're not making the playoffs. They're not going to have an 8-game winning streak, like they did a couple of years ago. This just team isn't built that way. And for whatever reason, Peterson is just, his message isn't getting across. They spent so much money in the offseason. I mean, an enormous amount of cash trying to fix this football team, and they just didn't fix in the right places. So they're done as far as I'm concerned. And the Eagles, Nick Sirianni he's a jerk. I mean, there's nothing redeeming about this guy other than the fact that he was up there on the podium with his kid, simply because he needed to deflect for his antics on the sidelines. Going after Eagles fans, it's one thing to go after your opponent's fans, but this guy has such an inferiority complex. It just shows every single week. And fortunately, his players made the plays that had to be played, had to be made yesterday. But, this guy just doesn't get it. I mean, he's still bruised over the Chiefs cutting him, not bringing him in as their quarterback's coach and firing him. And it's stuck with him for 10 years now. And he's been to a Super Bowl. He doesn't know how to coach. He's going to ultimately be gone at some point this year or in the offseason. There's no way that Howie Roseman is going to keep this guy as the head coach. The Bill Belichick rumors will be running rampant. It's going to be a 2-team race. The Eagles and the Cowboys, who gets Bill Belichick. Personally, if I'm Bill, I'm sitting on the sideline with my 20-something girlfriend, and I'm collecting checks from NFL Network, from ESPN, from all these outsources, and I'm enjoying the rest of my life. So we'll see what happens. But Sirianni, to me, he's just not equipped to be a head coach.
Well, I completely agree. I think there's not a bigger clown show than Nick Sirianni on any given sideline on any given Sunday. And so my question is, is Nick Sirianni on the hot? Who is the next coach? Because we saw Robert Saleh get fired, and I wasn't really surprised by that. I know a lot of people were surprised. I wasn't surprised by that, but who would you say is the next coach that's most likely to get fired here before even the trade deadline?
Well, I know one coach who should be fired, and that's Stefanski for Cleveland. He wrote his whole career on Deshaun Watson. He orchestrated that trade. He convinced ownership. He did win Coach of the Year, and props to him for a mixed match of quarterbacks. But if Joe Flacco was their starting quarterback, they'd have a lot more wins. And the fact that he's not pulling Watson and they're stuck with him, he has completely mismanaged this football team. He would be number one. I would say I don't think Khan's going to fire Doug Peterson. I just don't see it. I think the obvious one was Robert Saleh, but that was more of the fact that he and Aaron Rodgers really never got along, despite what anybody has said. It's just not something that was ever a good fit. Despite Rodgers saying, "Well, I'm upset that he's gone, and we had a great relationship." You could see it on the sidelines. That stuff's not fake. It's there for public view and everybody can see it. So I think Stefanski probably will be out in by November. And I think Doug Peterson stays through the year. So those are the two guys, in my opinion, that Sirianni, you just have to wait and see if they lose, I haven't looked at their schedule, but if they keep losing, then they'll make a change. The Eagles were foolish to bring him back this year. They could have made a run at Belichick. But my understanding was the warm and fuzzies weren't quite there yet, that he just wanted to take a little time off. So we'll see.
Final one for you, Nick, before we let you go. Tonight, the Buffalo Bills and the Jets face off on Monday Night Football. Do you think we'll see an inspired Jets team because of the dismissal of Robert Saleh, or is that it just doesn't really matter?
I just think Aaron Rodgers he's not done, but he's got a little done. he's got a half a fork in him right now. And he was responsible for the loss to the Vikings. 3 interceptions, misplacing the ball, in certain key situations. He's lost a lot of his mobility. Now he can still move around a little bit, but I think we're going to find out what Aaron Rodgers has made up tonight. We're also going to find out what Josh Allen's made up, because this is a game both teams have to win. I mean, the Bills, are probably still going to win the division, and it may be 9-7 or 9-8 or whatever it is, something like that, because they just don't seem to be the same team. I think, you speak of a head coach, Sean McDermott, he's done. This is his last year. It has to be. They have to blow this roster up, and they have to basically start from scratch. Is the only way they're going to get competitive. And it might be good timing, because the Dolphins stink. Tua is just not an NFL caliber starting quarterback, in my opinion. The Patriots aren't going anywhere. May look terrible yesterday, but that was his first game, so you give him a pass. The Jets are anything but a good football team right now. And the Bills are probably the best team in a bad division. So one team is going to come out of the East, and that's it. And I think whoever wins tonight is probably going to be the team that does that.
Nick Athen of Chiefs Blitz, as always, joins us on Mondays. Nick, thank you so much for squeezing us in. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
All good.
We will be better next week, I promise you.
All good. Talk to you next Monday.
See ya.
All right, guys.
Once again, great stuff there from Nick Athen here on the Morning Blitz. Okay, we're up against the clock. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show with the leftovers and the walk-off next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Monday.
At FNB Bank, we understand the backbone of our community is our local farmers and ranchers. Whether you're growing crops, raising livestock, or investing in new equipment, we're here to help you succeed. Our agricultural loans are tailored to meet the unique needs of your farm, with flexible terms from people who understand what it takes to make it in agriculture. When you partner with FNB Bank, you're working with neighbors who know the land and are invested in your success. FNB Bank, rooted in our community, growing with you. Member FDIC.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Bringing you the best regional sports talk.
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
From scores to stories, the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
All right, we're up against the clock. The show did not go as planned this morning, as it rarely does, but that's okay. We will make up for it tomorrow in some sort of fashion. At least we'll try to. But it did not go according to plan this morning as technical difficulties. I think what happened was we had a power outage here at the station in Goodland, and everything flickered, and that caused some issues. I don't know when that happened, guessing over the weekend sometime, but we got it ironed out for Nick, and I guess that was the most important part. We pushed through the first segment. But anyway, glad that you're with us here on the Morning Blitz here on this Monday morning. To get real quickly into the leftovers, I'm just going to, Max, I'm just going to spin through a few of these things real quickly because I want to highlight this stuff real fast. We talked about Goodland and Colby in football, a 47 win, but some other impressive performances this weekend. How about number one, Hoxie remains unbeaten. They beat Hill City 38-14. Quarterback Duncan Bell, 4 total touchdowns, 3 pass, 1 rush. Running back Braden Sheets, 2 touchdowns, 1 rush, 1 receiving. Oakley lost to Hayes TMP 28-20. Jorgen Schlitz and Carson Beal combined for 255 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground in the loss. Weskin, they remained unbeaten, 57-26, a win over Golden Plains. Decatur Community, a big win over Stockton, 56-0. Josiah Pattengall, 152 yards rushing on just 19 carries for him. And that wasn't even the best running back performance of the Friday night. Rollins County took home the Yoke in the Yoke Bowl. They beat St. Francis 50-12. Ryan Schromick is the best running back in the listening region, 352 yards. And that's right, 5 touchdowns for Ryan Schromick. His running mate, Dorian Colwell, ran for 131 and 2 touchdowns, which would be a great stat line. But Ryan Schromick leads the state of Kansas in rushing at this point in time. He has been absolutely fantastic. Lucas Riley for St. Francis had a good game, ran for a touchdown, threw for another. We talked about Colby winning the GWAC title in Hugoton on Saturday. Goodland coming in second. Wallace County was your Northwest Kansas League tournament champion over in Quinter. They beat Decatur Community in straight sets. St. Francis came in third. And the Broncos losing 23-16. Did you watch any of that game, Max, with the Chargers? Yeah. I tell you what, you had to almost poke your eyes out to watch the first 3 quarters before Bo Nix and that offense woke up to do something at least manageable.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos, it was rough. They made it, man. I looked at, I stopped watching in about the middle of the third quarter. So then I looked at the score this morning. I was like, oh, they actually made it somewhat close. But I'm watching the first half of that game, and I'm also watching. And then I watched the Raiders Steelers, and I'm thinking, I'm like, how is the AFC West still this bad at football after watching the Chiefs dominate? You know what you have to do at minimum to make it a competitive division, and they it looks like they've failed once again to make this remotely close at the end of the year.
Fun stat, Broncos had no points and 88 total yards in the first 3 quarters against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. And the Chargers came into that game losers of 3 in a row. And their head coach had a heart flutter issue. Harbaugh had to get that checked out during the break. So, before the game, excuse me. But yeah, 23-16, Broncos see their 3-game losing streak snap. They did lose their defensive leader, Patrick Surtain II, to a concussion, which certainly did not help them. But yeah. Mm-hmm. That was ugly. All right, we have to get to the walk-off. As always, we are behind schedule.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off. His second walk-off hit of the season. In walk-off fashion, that baby's gone.
So Max will learn. He'll join us on this next Friday for our Pick 6 picks of the weekend. 6 games I picked, and it's been a horrific season for me, and the trend continues. This week, yours truly goes a beautiful, and I do want to say an absolute beautiful, what is just 1-5. The only game I picked was Houston covering New England. I had the Chargers, or the Broncos beating the Chargers. Wrong. Had Oklahoma covering the 14.5 against Texas. Wrong. I had Trojans winning outright versus Penn State. That was so close, but wrong. Ohio State, where I had Ohio State covering the 3. Wrong. And I had K-State. I had K-State winning, but Colorado covering the 3.5. Wrong. Actually, you know what? That's a win, isn't it? Because it was a 3-point game. It's 3.5. They got the 3. So a win. 2-4. 2-4. Still horrific record, though. Still absolutely horrible. That would make me now, what is 10, 26-2 overall this season in picks. So I've told people, just don't listen to me. Just do the opposite, and you're going to make money. Also today, regional girls golf. The big thing you have to know is top 3 teams from each regional qualify for state, top 3 combined teams, and the 5 lowest individual scores that are not members of a qualifying team qualify as well. Any ties for 6th place in the singles will advance to state as well. Anyway, we did a great job today, at least color coordinating. That's the best, but the best we could do. But we will try and be better tomorrow, hopefully with no technical difficulties. It was a sprint and run first show, Max, but we'll make it better. For Max Gershon, I'm Ross Volkmer. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Morning Blitz.
With SRN News, I'm Greg Clugston in Washington.